I'm up in Seattle this week helping take care of my dad who broke his hip. He's in the rehab hospital, and I'm here at his house sitting in his chair and just thinking lots of thoughts about him, about death and dying. A rehab hospital, that sounds pretty hopeful, and it is hopeful because you go there to be rehabbed. There's hope for healing, but dad is so weak. And if you're going to heal in a reasonable amount of time, you don't go to a rehab hospital. You finish in the hospital and then you come home. The rehab hospital is a place of profound weakness, and it's kind of takes it's a punch in the gut to go there because you see all of these people who are struggling just to perform life's basic functions. And like yesterday, we were able to get dad out and take him to a restaurant, but kind of scary getting him out of the car, and just everything is so difficult. Taking him back, and he was crawling in bed, and I was, helping him get his shirt on and just get ready for bed, and he said to me, "Hey, I want you to remember me. When you think of me, you got to remember me up ahead of you on the backpack trail headed over the hill, and you can't keep up." And I said, "Yeah, Dad, no, done. Of course, I'm going to think of you that way." But as I'm sitting here in this chair, I realized that wasn't really the right answer, that what Dad is doing right now, he is going up over the hill. And the hill he's going over now, and the way he's facing it, and just the act of getting out to go eat a Mexican meal and crawl back in bed, and the humility to let his son help him put his shirt on, and the whole thing, that's harder than going over any mountain. And so I'm going to remember him both ways. I'd like to read you something I wrote for our Senior Center newsletter, and it's made me think about Dad too, but it goes like this. It's called Full of Years. I grew up listening to Simon and Garfunkel. Some of their lyrics were truly inspired. Here's a few lines from The Dangling Conversation that have stayed with me. "And you read your Emily Dickinson, and I my Robert Frost, and we note our place with bookmarkers that measure what we've lost." That last line is jarring. It views the pages of a book as consumables that get used up as you read them. In other words, the more you read, the poorer you become. We don't think of reading that way. We don't count the words we read as a deduction from our life, but as an addition to it. Each page makes a deposit in us that broadens our mind and deepens the human spirit. We don't pity a person who is well read, we admire them. Our culture views the passing of years the way Simon and Garfunkel's song views turning of pages, as loss. We dread birthdays because they force us to, quote, note our place with bookmarkers that measure what we've lost. As the years fly by, we lose more and more. We're on our way to becoming an empty husk. It's no wonder we despise growing old. It's undeniable that every year we live is one less we have to live, just as every page we turn is one less we have left to read. But loss is a strange way to think of reading, and it's a cruel way to think of growing old. Just as the pages of a book enrich us as we read, so each year of life makes a deposit in us as we live, adding layers of wisdom and experience, making life fuller. I like how the book of Genesis describes the death of Abraham. It says, "Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people." Full of years. What a great way to think of aging. Growing old is not an emptying, it's a filling. Being full of years is something to celebrate, not mourn. The next time someone calls you old, thank them and tell them how much you love being full of years. Like books, our lives arrive at a final page. Does this make them meaningless? Not at all. The final page of a book does not detract from its meaning. It is an essential piece of it. Books are not meaningful because they go on forever. Would you even read a book that had no ending? We can't help but wonder what happens after the last page. Back in my preacher years, I spoke with certainty about such matters. These days, I am more comfortable with mystery. In the description of Abraham's death, I'm drawn to the simple phrase, "He was gathered to his people." It doesn't over-explain. It simply highlights that there is nothing unnatural about dying. It's the way of people. I find reassuring solidarity in that. Whatever your views about such matters, one thing is certain. It's best to count the passing years as gain rather than, quote, measure what you've lost. If you want a demonstration, I invite you to join the fun at Rianda House. You won't find a bunch of sad sacks moping about measuring what they've lost. You'll discover a community of people who are old and full of years in the very best possible way. I defy you to show me a more joyful place. So I love thinking about Dad that way. And it's not just a way of thinking. It's a truth. It's a reality. Dad is an old man full of years and will soon be gathered to his people. And he is ready for that. And, as I sit here in his chair and think about, the decades in front of me, assuming, things go as I expect, it makes old age and even dying something, just part of the journey, something that I am very much at peace with, which is not to say it's easy. Again, that image of Dad going up over the mountain and me trying to keep up, here we go again.